Hi, I'm Anita of My Duke and I podcast, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a splendid day. And if you're seeing this show for the very first time, be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and hit the notification bell so when an episode comes out, you will be the first to know. And also, as you watch this show, please hit the like button because we want this algorithm to go out there in Harry and Meghan's favor, liking positive things about Harry and Meghan. And let's begin. Let's talk about Harry's conversation with Dr. Gabor Mate. And it was indeed a splendid conversation. It was enlightening indeed, and it was just Harry just being steadfast in his belief of why he wrote his book, in the sense that it is a book of service to help others. And a lot of you guys said in the comments in previous videos, you believe that the reason why Harry is writing his book is to help others, and Harry strongly believed that was his purpose of his book. And let me just run through some of the things I heard. It is forbidden to record or to replay, the conversation between these two individuals. So I'm going to respect that and just, from, what I heard, just reiterate exactly what they said. So I'm going to put my glasses on, me with my glasses, and I have my little book. I write everything. By the way, every time I do a show, it is not a scripted show. Everything I say it from my mind and my head. I don't try to write things up because I want my shows to be authentic. Whatever you see, it is real. It is not scripted. Anyway, so here is what Harry said throughout in his conversation with Dr. Mate on the conversation that they had today on live. Okay, so as I said, he said that he believed that writing this book was therapeutic for him, and it was an act of service. Those are his words: an act of service to others. One of the things that we all knew, that Harry lost his mother at a very young age, at the age of 12, and I think he has been traumatized by that that event. And he mentioned that he struggled with his mother's death. And one of the things that he said about or he alluded to in the royal family, is that hugging and loving people is not something that they really do there. And one of the things that he said to Dr. Matteau, this is one thing that he wants to do with his children, Archie and Lily, is to hug them, get that interaction, that human touch with them, to hug them and to love them, and sort of give them, a different way, or raise them a different way than he was raised. It seems like he came from a family, once Diana passed, because I know Diana was very tactile. And once Diana passed, I think that, the whatever affection that was in that household, once she passed, all of that was gone, and he no longer had that. So it appears that, it was he grew up in a loveless home. And one of the things that Dr. Matteau talked about is that that Harry he grew up in a divorced home. It appeared to be loveless, no hugs, very little emotion. You didn't express your emotion, you couldn't express your emotional side. So that was one of them, one of the things that was said in the conversation. Yes. Another thing again, he said that he didn't know himself. As an adolescent growing up, you saw that he made a lot of mistakes, and that was due to the fact that he didn't know himself. And going back to the fact that he grew up in a loveless home, and there was no human connection really, or emotional connection, for your parents to literally confirm who you are or point out things about you. That just made matters worse for Harry in not recognizing who he is or who he was as a person, because that is what a parent is supposed to do. They're supposed to confirm some of of who you are, because I know, as somebody who, I studied mathematics, but I also had studied biology as well, and your frontal lobe here, which is your rational self here, this part of your brain gets developed fully and to make rational decision when you're 25 years old. So and that's the reason why children tend to stay with their parents for a very long time, because this part of the brain here, the frontal lobe, which is your rational self, which makes rational decision, takes a long time to develop. And you need your parents for a very long time, and your parents is supposed to be loving towards you, and they're supposed to guide you and mold you. And there was none of that. So I could understand how Harry could say that he didn't know who he was as an adolescent, because there was nobody to confirm anything to him. There was nobody there, to speak to him in the way that you have, a loving mother and father relationship. So there was none of that. And Harry said he felt free once he wrote his book, and a big load was lifted off, his shoulders. He also said that, sorry, I'm a little sniffle here. He also said that when he was in Africa, that he felt free in Africa. He felt like himself in Africa. That's what he said. He said that after, going to therapy and so on, he was starting to speak the language of therapy and understand the language of therapy. And apparently, in his household in England, that language wasn't understood. So there was some type of distance between him and the rest of the members of his family, because here he is understanding the language of therapy, and his family did not understand it at all. So that created in and of itself a wedge in his family. And to come to think about it, his brother has a platform for mental health, and they have this mental health thing going and talking about for a very long time. And it is interesting that they couldn't communicate on that. So a lot of the times that you see people say, well, this is their platform and this is what they're doing and stuff, it's nothing more than talk, and it's nothing more than a farce. It is nothing more than a show. It is not real. And Harry realized that he couldn't have those mental health conversations, the language, of healing, and the language of looking within yourself, that was not communicated within his household in the UK amongst his family. And it created a wedge in his family, it created distance. Okay. So, and that's sort of like, yes, caused, that distance between him and his brother, and possibly his father, even the queen herself, because she herself, they seemed like they were all raised that way. There was no love. There was, they didn't understand healing. It's very stoic. It's whatever it is. So another thing he said, another thing, being authentic to himself. He talked about being authentic led him to remove himself from his family, because you have to be true to yourself. And I understand that you have to be true to yourself. In order for you to be true to yourself, you have to remove yourself from the things that are weighing you down, from the things that are making you the person that you don't want to be. You have to remove yourself from that. I've had people in my life or friends in my life that I felt like the things that they were doing wasn't aligned with me, and I had to sever ties with them. And I think this is what Harry was sort of like alluding to. So let me see what he said again. Yes, he also said that he felt better away, maybe, away from the United Kingdom, or maybe here in the United States, or maybe in Africa. When he was away from the United Kingdom, he definitely felt better. He mentioned that. Didn't know who he was as an adolescent. I said that again. And he also mentioned that pain was nothing to him. I know sometimes when people are hurt, it's hard for them, and they haven't resolved that hurt. It's hard for them to, to feel pain because they haven't resolved the pain that they themselves are suffering from. And so that's why he gravitated to sports that, resulted in a lot of injuries, like rugby and so on. And he also said he had a lot of self-hate, apparently. Yes, I'm not going to say that 100%, but apparently Harry had a lot of self-hate. He didn't like himself. So, and maybe the reason why I wrote that there in the conversation is because if you want to engage in things that are going to physically hurt you or emotionally hurt you, it means that you do not like yourself. You want to punish yourself. So maybe that's the reason why I wrote this here. Dr. Gabor was talking about the war in Afghanistan, and they didn't go much into it, but apparently Dr. Gabor seemed like he wasn't, for that war. And also I was reading through the press, and a lot of the things that they were saying in the press about Dr. Gabor is that, or in a way trying to demonize him, saying that he's pro Palestine, and he's anti Israel, Israeli, and so on, and trying to sort of put Harry in that same with that same thought. He doesn't have that same thought. He's never expressed it, so I don't know how they would come up with that. What I think at the end of the day is that Harry looks at Dr. Gabor Mate as a professional, and their conversation or their interaction is based on therapy, is based on the position that Dr. Gabor is in, which is a doctor that deals with trauma and pain and separation and what have you. And that is how they are collaborating. That is how they're working together. That is the purpose of their meeting, not Dr. Gabor's private views when he is not in therapy with somebody else or not having a therapeutic conversation. So they try to, demonize Dr. Gabor and sort of put Harry on the same level, or thinking that Harry has those types of thoughts as Dr. Gabor in his political his political orientation. And that's what the British press tried to do, because every time they see Harry and Meghan are doing something, or they're affiliated with an organization or somebody, they go in and dig and try to, demonize the person to sort of bring Harry and Meghan down. So that's what they were trying to do. So he did say, Dr. Gabor said that he was not in support of the Afghanistan war. Also, Harry said that, a lot of people did not support the members of the military in the United Kingdom, and it could have been because they did not support the war. Harry didn't give a view of whether he supported it or did not support it. I just want to make that clear. And so another thing again that I thought that was powerful, that was said in the conversation, that there is beauty in acknowledging your trauma and your fear. And once you can acknowledge that, you can heal from it. Because a lot of the times too, and this is why I think that to me was really powerful, a lot of the times we have our experiences, and everybody does, and people do not want to acknowledge those experiences. They want to pretend like everything is perfect, and they want to forget about their past. But in order for you to know where you're going in life, you have to be able to acknowledge what happened, and so that you don't repeat history, that you don't repeat the same thing over and over and over again. So to me, that was one of the most powerful thing that was said in that conversation. And it's just so therapeutic to talk about and to acknowledge your past, and with that you can go forward, and nobody can use that as a weapon against you, because here it is, it's out in the open. Okay. So that to me was powerful. And fear, has the ability to keep people paralyzed. And once you let go of that fear, you become free. Okay, so those are the things that I got from that. And Harry said, since the age of 12, and that is when his mother passed, he was in a state of fight or flight. So he always had this, this trauma. It was always a battle for him. And, the thing about it too, I just cannot imagine, and being in Harry's position, losing somebody, particularly your mother, at the age of 12. It is so traumatic. And Harry has been through so much. And I'm so happy that he wrote this book and is able to share with people his experience, and people can use his experience and say, you know what, let me let go of all of these things, and when I do let go of all of these things, then I could find some peace in my life. Harry did say he had some short and small bouts of depression and so on. And he emphasized that because in the conversation he didn't want, and I think, people to hold on to the fact that, that he's suffering from depression. He said he had small and short bouts of depression. He also reiterated about his drug use again, and he did say that the drugs made him feel different, but it's not something that he really liked. He did talk about marijuana helped him a lot, so he said that, and he talked about the psychedelic drugs that was used in therapy that helped him, and he said he did like that. So he mentioned that, the psychedelics, and he did emphasize, for the people and them that are out there, it's not something you want to do without the supervision of a professional. It has to be done under the supervision of a professional. He did say nature makes him feel free, so being out in the, out in the forest, being out in the yard, hearing the birds, smelling the fresh air, makes him feel free. And I'm telling you, I could definitely agree with that, because everybody knows I just came from the Caribbean not too long ago, and I had an experience there that was so interesting. I was, I live in New York City, and there's a lot happening around me. People are, everywhere you go, there's people, there's houses, people are close to you. And where I was in the Caribbean, it was sort of like that island of Dominica, which is where I'm from, has about 70,000 people at most there. This island, so you can imagine the place is sparse. It's not a lot of people that is there. And I had left the village. The village is almost like our town. It's a coastal area, and I went up close to where I bought my property, up on the hill, looking over, looking at the ocean and the mountain. And one moment when I came from, the city, and I drove through the village and I got up there, I felt like in the breeze, in the air, in the fresh air, in with all the fruits and the vegetables around me, that I could just go and pick the coconuts, the papaya, the guavas, the the everything. It just, everything is there. I felt at peace. A sense of peace just came over me, and I don't know where that feeling came from, but it was just a sense of happiness, joy. I cannot even really explain it. That's how I felt. So I can imagine how Harry feels when he goes to Africa, when he goes in the outdoors, to just to be in nature, away from it all, makes him feel free. And that's how I felt. He did say that he doesn't meditate enough. And one of the things that Meghan does is remind him that he does have to meditate. She encourages him, what a supportive wife, to meditate. And he said he has changed a lot, the way that he once was when he was in the United Kingdom, I believe, is quite different from the person that he is today, because he said he has changed a lot. He referred to his life in the past as being very chaotic. We've seen a lot of the reports and so on, but here he is acknowledging. That's why he said acknowledging your past is very, very important. It sets you free, literally. So he did say that he felt chaotic in the past, and so now it's a different thing. And he also said that Meghan has saved his life. Wow, what this is something to say about your spouse. How many people can say that their spouse saved their life? Harry is saying that Meghan has saved his life. That's why I strongly believe, even Sarah Ferguson said the other day, it's not somebody that, I really care for. But she said that one thing that she has observed is that Meghan has really made Harry happy. And here he is saying that Meghan has saved his life. That is a really noble thing to say. And, they always said that, Meghan married up, or she was lucky to marry a prince. But I think it's the other way around. Harry was lucky to have found a woman like Meghan, because here he is saying that she saved his life. How magnificent is that? Apparently, in Harry's family in the United Kingdom, they speak to women in disrespectful ways, or speak to them in a way that doesn't honor them. And it appears that, I don't know what situation that Harry had, probably with Meghan, or with, his past relationship, where he had spoken to some, a female, in a particular way that he shouldn't have. And, now it's a total, he has learned how to, communicate better when it comes to, women in general. And, Meghan did say in the Vogue interview that she did when Roe versus Wade was overturned, she said that Harry is a feminist, So I can just imagine how far Harry has come. He's certainly come a long way. And this is really powerful. Another powerful statement that he said. He said that he is grateful for his mistake, because, as I said, your mistake that you make shapes your future. Your past shapes your future. And for anybody that is listening out there, if you have made mistakes in the past, you should not feel ashamed of them. It is what that is going to make you the great person that you're going to become. So don't feel ashamed of your mistakes, and talk about it. Talk about your mistakes with somebody. Find somebody to talk about it with, you know. And this is very good too, because in our community as people of color, we don't talk about, you know, a lot about, you know, how we're feeling as a people of color. This is like almost taboo. And, you know, Harry is talking here with Dr. Gabor and literally saying, hey, I'm not ashamed of my mistake. You know, I'm grateful for all the mistakes, because it is what that has led him to where he is today. You know, he's living a beautiful life with his two lovely children. You know, he knows how to raise them. He knows how to love them. He knows how to be a good husband. He knows how to be a great father. He knows how to be a great husband, you know, to his wife and to his children. And it is because of the mistakes that he has made, which is now shaping the man that he is today. So there you go. And he did say that he's not a victim. So for those people who like to talk about Harry and them is, you know, always, you know, in victimhood or something like that. I don't even know the reference, because I won't even listen to none of these people out there. He said he's not a victim. You know, he said he is not a victim. Here's a man saying that he is grateful for the mistakes that he has made. And in order for you to, you know, go forward, you have to acknowledge your past. You know, you have to, you know, to recognize your past and talk about it. And, you know, to be able to be, you know, the person that you want to become. So that was really nice. And one of the things that I am assuming a lot of people went on Amazon and, you know, gave reviews of Harry's book. And, you know, as I said, Harry said he is grateful that he wrote this book, and this book is a book of service. So apparently a lot of people were able to use that review and talk about, you know, issues that they have experienced themselves. And Harry said there are 45,000, wow, 45,000 reviews, and some of the write-ups that are there, they're very long. So his publishers and so on are encouraging him to read those reviews and to hear how people are so grateful for, you know, grateful for him and the fact that he has written this book. So I myself, I'm going to go there and read some of them to see what people are saying and how writing, you know, Spear has been beneficial to them. And he also said being vulnerable is important, okay? Because it makes sense. You to you know, when you're vulnerable, people are more likely to, although people like to take advantage of people who are vulnerable, but you cannot just walk in life being stoic and being acting like you have the answer to everything. You have to also, as a husband, as a father, you also, and as a human being, you also have to show that you're vulnerable. You're not perfect. You can make mistakes. You understand? You don't know everything. So he said that there. And Harry said that he wants to be the best dad and best husband that he can be. And I feel like family at this point is very important to him. And maybe that's the reason why he's probably referenced his family in the United Kingdom. But I think that, you know, what he and Meghan and Archie and Lily as a family have going for them is the best thing that ever happened to Harry. Meghan was the best thing that ever happened to Harry. And if he has to be criticized in the public for it, then maybe that's the price that he has to pay. But I think it is worth it, because he has found a gem in Meghan. And with two of them and him showing his vulnerable, showing that he's vulnerable, showing, you know, that just, who he is, and that he himself has faults and what have you, is going to make it, it's going to carry them through in their lives as they go through, the different stages. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I had a thought, I sort of lost it. But I think all of that is going to help them hold on to each other and to be the dynamic couple that God wants them to be. So that was a lot, but I really loved the conversation. I wrote everything down on my little log as I was listening. And yes, and there's some, I'm going to, when I'm finished posting this, I am going to look out there and start reading about what people, got from the interview. This is my unbiased reporting about it. I'm not taking anything from what people said. I've just given you the information. I don't want people, what they're saying to influence my thinking. This is it for me, and I learned a lot. It was just a fabulous conversation, and I just hope that people leave Harry and Meghan alone. That is my hope for them, that they are able to live their life without the press hounding them. And it's a lot to ask for, because Harry and Meghan, they're literally bankrolling a lot of the UK media and those reporters that are out there. If it wasn't for Harry and Meghan, a lot of them would not be able to pay their bills, and I could see why they keep bothering them. So anyways, that's all for now. Until my next posting, I will try to see what people are saying out there, and I'll probably write up a formal report on it, because I love to do those things. Okay, bye and take care. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed us yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Bye.